There will always be people who criticize you, misunderstand you, compete with you, or try to bring negativity into your life. Some do it intentionally, others do it without even realizing the damage they cause. But here's the truth. No one can steal your peace unless you hand it over. I've expanded the first key point to approximately 500 words, keeping it as one continuous section without subheadings or a concluding sentence. One of the greatest mistakes people make is giving everyone unrestricted access to their emotions. They allow strangers, coworkers, family members, or even someone they barely know to determine whether they will have a good day or a bad one. A single harsh comment, an unfriendly look, or a negative opinion can completely change their mood. The problem isn't always what others say or do. It's how much power we unknowingly give them. Every time you let someone else's behavior dictate your emotional state, you hand them control over something that should belong only to you. Think about how often this happens. You wake up feeling motivated, grateful, and ready to face the day. Then someone criticizes your work, questions your decisions, ignores your message, or says something unfair. Within minutes, your confidence begins to disappear. Suddenly, you're replaying their words over and over in your mind. Hours later, you're still carrying the weight of a moment that may not have meant nearly as much to them as it now means to you. While they continue living their life, you're allowing them to occupy valuable space in your thoughts. Emotionally strong people understand that not every opinion deserves attention. They recognize that people speak from their own experiences, frustrations, insecurities, and beliefs. Someone having a bad day may take it out on you. Someone who feels threatened by your progress may criticize your success. Someone struggling with their own confidence may try to make you doubt yourself. Their words often reveal more about their internal battles than they do about your character. This doesn't mean becoming cold or pretending that nothing affects you. It means creating a healthy pause between what happens and how you respond. That pause is where your strength lives. Instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to ask yourself whether this situation truly deserves your emotional energy. Will this matter next week? Will it matter next month? Is this person's opinion more important than your peace of mind? In many cases, the honest answer is no. Every reaction comes with a cost. Anger steals your focus. Bitterness drains your energy. Worry robs you of the present moment. The more time you spend feeding negative emotions, the less time you have for your dreams, your relationships, and your personal growth. Your emotional energy is limited and it should be invested wisely. Don't spend it trying to win arguments with people who have already decided not to understand you. Don't waste it proving your worth to those who refuse to see your value. Protecting your emotions also means being selective about whose voices you allow into your life. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your heart or your mind. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth, challenge you with kindness, and celebrate your progress instead of competing with it. The voices you listen to consistently become the thoughts you repeat to yourself. Choose those voices carefully because they shape your confidence, your decisions, and ultimately the direction of your life. I've expanded the second key point to around 500 words as requested, without subheadings or a concluding sentence. One of the biggest reasons people lose their peace is because they spend far too much time trying to make everyone understand them. They explain their decisions, defend their actions, justify their boundaries, and seek approval from people who have already chosen not to see their perspective. The harder they try to be understood, the more exhausted they become. The truth is, not everyone is meant to understand your journey. And that's perfectly okay. Your life was never designed to fit inside someone else's expectations. Every person views the world through the lens of their own experiences, beliefs, fears, and opinions. Because of that, two people can witness the exact same situation and come away with completely different conclusions. No amount of explaining can force someone to see what they are unwilling to see. Some people have already made up their minds before you even speak. Others hear your words but interpret them through their own assumptions. If you spend your life trying to change every opinion about you, You'll never have the time or energy to become the person you're capable of being. One of the hardest lessons in life is accepting that being misunderstood is sometimes part of growth. When you begin changing for the better, not everyone will celebrate your transformation. Some people were comfortable with the version of you that always said yes, stayed quiet, or put everyone else's needs ahead of your own. The moment you begin setting healthy boundaries, pursuing bigger goals, or refusing to tolerate disrespect, those same people may accuse you of changing. In reality, you are changing, but not for the worse. You are becoming stronger, wiser, and more aware of your own value. There will always be people who question your choices because they cannot imagine making those choices themselves. They may criticize your ambitions because they have stopped chasing their own dreams. They may doubt your confidence because they are still battling their insecurities. They may misunderstand your silence, mistake your kindness for weakness, or interpret your boundaries as rejection. Their opinions are shaped by who they are, not necessarily by who you are. You don't owe everyone an explanation for the life you choose to live. You don't have to convince people that your goals matter, that your values are important, or that your decisions make sense. As long as your choices align with your principles and lead you toward becoming a better person, you can move forward with confidence. Your purpose is not to satisfy every expectation placed upon you. Your purpose is to remain true to yourself, even when others fail to understand your direction. The people who genuinely care about you will make an effort to listen before they judge. They may not agree with every decision you make, but they will respect your right to make those decisions. They will support your growth instead of feeling threatened by it. These are the relationships worth investing in because they are built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding rather than constant approval. When you stop chasing validation from everyone around you, you create space to build confidence from within. And that confidence becomes far more powerful than the temporary approval of people who never intended to understand you in the first place. I've expanded the third key point to approximately 500 words without subheadings or a concluding sentence. One of the most powerful decisions you can ever make is knowing when to walk away. Many people believe strength means standing your ground in every argument, proving every point, or refusing to back down. In reality, true strength often looks very different. It is the wisdom to recognize that not every battle deserves your time, your attention, or your peace of mind. Some conflicts cannot be solved because the other person is not looking for understanding. They are looking for a reaction. The moment you stop giving them that reaction, you take back your power. Far too many people spend their lives trapped in unnecessary conflict. They replay arguments in their minds long after they are over. They stay in conversations that only leave them feeling frustrated. They continue trying to change people who have no desire to change. Every minute spent fighting a battle that leads nowhere is a minute taken away from your own growth, happiness, and purpose. Life is too short to waste your energy trying to convince someone who has already closed their mind. Walking away does not mean giving up. It does not mean admitting a defeat or allowing someone else to win. It means recognizing that your peace is worth more than your pride. There are times when silence speaks louder than another argument. There are moments when leaving the room shows more confidence than raising your voice. People who are secure in themselves do not feel the need to prove their worth to everyone they meet. They understand that some situations improve only when they stop participating in them. This lesson applies not only to arguments, but also to relationships, environments, and habits that constantly drain your spirit. Some friendships become one sided, where you are always giving but rarely receiving support in return. Some workplaces reward stress instead of growth. Some social circles thrive on gossip, negativity, and competition. Staying in these environments simply because they are familiar can slowly steal your confidence and joy. Sometimes the bravest decision is to leave behind what feels comfortable so you can create space for something healthier. Many people remain in unhealthy situations because they fear what others will think. They worry about being judged for ending a relationship, changing careers, or distancing themselves from toxic influences. But your life should never be controlled by the opinions of people who do not live with the consequences of your choices. You are the one who carries the emotional weight of every decision. You are the one who feels the stress, the disappointment, and the exhaustion. That is why protecting your well being must become more important than protecting someone else's expectations. Walking away also teaches self respect. It sends a clear message that you value your time, your energy, and your emotional health. You stop begging for respect where none exists. You stop chasing acceptance from people who refuse to appreciate you. You stop forcing connections that have already run their course. Instead, you begin investing your energy into people who encourage your growth, opportunities that move you forward, and goals that give your life meaning. Every step away from unnecessary drama is a step toward a calmer mind, a stronger character, and a future built on peace instead of constant conflict. I've expanded the fourth key point to approximately 500 words. Without subheadings or a concluding sentence, your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant, water, and care for is what will eventually grow. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, fear, criticism, and endless distractions, you cannot expect confidence, peace, and optimism to flourish. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. Every piece of information you consume, every conversation you participate in, and every voice you choose to listen to is shaping the person you are becoming, whether you realize it or not. Many people underestimate the impact of what they allow into their minds each day. They spend hours scrolling through negative news, comparing themselves to carefully edited lives on social media, listening to people who constantly complain, or surrounding themselves with individuals who focus only on problems. Over time, this constant exposure begins to influence their thinking. They become more anxious, more doubtful, and more discouraged, not because life has necessarily become worse, but because their minds have been trained to notice only the negative. Your brain pays attention to whatever you repeatedly expose it to. If your daily routine is filled with fear, your mind begins expecting failure. If you constantly compare yourself to others, you start believing that your own progress is never enough. If you repeatedly hear criticism without balancing it with encouragement, your confidence slowly begins to fade. This is why being intentional about what you consume is one of the most important forms of self care. You cannot build a positive life while feeding your mind with negativity every single day. Instead, choose to fill your mind with things that help you grow. Read books that challenge you to think differently. Listen to podcasts and speeches that inspire action instead of excuses. Spend time learning new skills that expand your opportunities. Surround yourself with people who encourage your dreams instead of mocking them. Gratitude, learning, and personal growth are all habits that strengthen your mindset over time. They may not produce dramatic results overnight, but every positive thought you reinforce becomes another brick in the foundation of a stronger, more resilient mind. This also means paying attention to your internal dialogue. The words you speak to yourself matter just as much as the words you hear from others. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough, your mind will eventually accept those statements as truth. On the other hand, when you remind yourself of your strengths, your progress, and your ability to overcome challenges, you build confidence from within. The goal is not to ignore difficulties or pretend that life is always easy. The goal is to develop a mindset that focuses on solutions rather than surrender. Every day presents a choice. You can allow your attention to be captured by everything that is wrong, or you can deliberately focus on what is still possible. You can dwell on every setback, or you can learn from it and move forward. You can let negativity become the soundtrack of your life, or you can replace it with thoughts that strengthen your courage, deepen your gratitude, and remind you that your future is shaped far more by what you repeatedly believe than by the temporary circumstances you happen to face today. I've expanded the fifth key point to approximately 500 words without subheadings or a concluding sentence. One of the biggest reasons people lose their peace is because they never learn to set healthy boundaries. They say yes when every part of them wants to say no. They accept disrespect because they fear confrontation. They sacrifice their own well being to avoid disappointing others. Over time, this habit becomes emotionally exhausting. They begin feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and resentful, not because they lack kindness, but because they have confused kindness with constant self sacrifice. Real kindness should never require you to abandon your own mental and emotional health. Many people grow up believing that putting themselves first is selfish. They think they must always be available, always agreeable, and always willing to solve everyone else's problems. While generosity is a beautiful quality, it becomes harmful when it comes at the cost of your own peace. You cannot continue pouring into everyone else's cup while your own remains empty. Eventually, emotional exhaustion catches up with you, and no amount of pretending will hide it. Healthy boundaries are not walls designed to keep good people out. They are limits that protect what matters most. They define how you expect to be treated and what behavior you are no longer willing to accept. Boundaries communicate self respect without requiring anger or hostility. They allow you to be compassionate without becoming a victim of manipulation. When you know your limits, you stop allowing guilt to make your decisions for you. There will always be people who become uncomfortable the moment you begin setting boundaries. They may accuse you of changing, becoming distant, or thinking only about yourself. In many cases, these reactions happen because they benefited from your inability to say no. They became accustomed to unlimited access to your time, your attention, and your emotional energy. When those limits finally appear, they interpret your self respect as rejection. But protecting your peace is not an attack on anyone else. It is simply a commitment to taking responsibility for your own well being. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Every time you say yes to something that drains your energy, you are saying no to something that could strengthen your future. You say no to rest. You say no to your goals. You say no to your family, your dreams, or your personal growth. Time and energy are limited resources, and how you spend them determines the direction of your life. Every unnecessary obligation steals attention from the things that truly deserve it. Boundaries also apply to the conversations you entertain, the environments you tolerate, and the people you allow to influence your mindset. You do not have to remain in discussions filled with constant negativity. You do not have to tolerate repeated disrespect simply because someone has been part of your life for a long time. You do not have to explain every decision to people who refuse to respect your choices. Your peace is too valuable to be traded for temporary approval or fear of disappointing others. The strongest people are not those who constantly give until they have nothing left. They are the ones who understand that protecting their emotional health allows them to show up as better parents, better friends, better leaders, and better human beings. When you respect your own limits, you teach others how to respect them as well. The moment you stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace, you begin living with greater confidence, healthier relationships, and a deeper sense of freedom that no one can take away. Life will always present difficult people, unexpected challenges, and moments of uncertainty. You cannot control every situation, but you can control your response. Choose calm over conflict, choose boundaries over burnout, choose growth over resentment, choose peace over proving a point, because at the end of the day, the greatest victory isn't defeating other people. It's refusing to let anyone steal the peace that belongs to you. Protect your mind, protect your heart, protect your future. And remember this: the people who truly win in life are not the ones who control everyone else, they are the ones who have learned to control themselves.